Joining me now to discuss all of this is Kevin Frey, Washington correspondent for Spectrum News, New York One. Simone Sanders Townsend, former senior advisor to Vice President Harris and co-host of The Weekend on MSNBC, and Republican strategist Lance Trover. Thanks to all of you for being here. Kevin, let me start with you. Let's talk about this messaging strategy, or potentially lack thereof, by the president. We did hear from him yesterday a couple of times as he was leaving, and then again on Air Force One. A number of Republican strategists, though, have said, look, we need to hear more from him. This is a critical moment when he needs to be out front explaining this to the American people. What is your sense of where the messaging may go?
Well, this is kind of like two-pronged. One is there is the messaging that is being conveyed by the president and his team, which is kind of all over the place in terms of what to make of this tariff rollout. Is it a negotiation? Is it not? He's saying that his, quote, policies will never change, and at the same time posting on social media that the leader of Vietnam is open to having a discussion about reducing tariffs from that country. And so it's kind of all over the place on that end. At the same time, you have him, as you mentioned, out on the golf course. And so you saw Senator Chuck Schumer, just as the markets were closing, down 2,200 points, posting a photo of him out riding around in his golf cart. So there is like this opening. Democrats have been looking for a moment. They seem to now have one. Yeah, and Lance, the messaging has been a bit all over the place. I want to play some of what we've heard and get your reaction on the other side.
It was a sick patient. It went through an operation on Liberation Day, and it's going to be a booming country, a very booming country. It's going to be amazing, actually.
You saw the president said earlier today, it's like a patient who was very sick. We did the operation, and now it's time to make the patient better, and that's exactly what we're doing.
The operation has happened. It was yesterday. The patient, I get it. The patient's in bed and starting to recover. But what it's going to do is it's going to create a renaissance of manufacturing.
Lance, what do you make of that explanation? Do you think that resonates with Americans? Does the president need to go further, potentially think about hitting the road, selling this plan?
This is something he ran on, so I don't think a lot of voters are going to be completely surprised by it. He is level set with the voters early on, saying there may be some bumps in the road. So I kind of disagree a little bit. I think he's kind of been level setting up till now. Would I like to see him out a little bit more? Yeah, probably. But I also think, and Kevin and I were talking about this off stage a while ago, I think there's an element here of wait and see, because with this president, it seems there's always this rush to civilization is ending because Donald Trump made a decision today. And I think they're in this White House in particular, and what they have withstood over the course of the last 8 years, I think they're taking a wait and see approach, and that's how they're doing it. And I think that's okay for the moment.
Civilization is ending for the people who have their money in the stock market, like people's pensions. Michael Steele, my colleague, tells a story about how someone texted him and said in one day that the market dropped, they lost $8,000 out of their 401k, and it took them 15 years to build that up. So, like, that's the reality for people out there. And my question on Vietnam, you know, I was a couple credits shy of an economic minor. I really was. I really was. I wanted it badly, y'all.
That was some real honesty on the panel.
How does Vietnam removing tariffs on America help bring manufacturing back to America? Because I thought the tariffs were to bring manufacturing back. So I think the other problem is that the explanation for why it's happening isn't even coherent.
Well,
what about that argument?
I was thinking about this. I paid less than $3 a gallon for gas in Virginia yesterday. I was pleasantly stunned. Egg prices are going down. We saw jobs numbers today that were really beyond expectations. And I think that there's a belief that this economy is strong and prosperous and growing, and that we can withstand some of these bumps that have come along the way. Yes, sorry.
No, finish, please.
But yeah, and so when it comes to this negotiation stuff, look, I've followed Donald Trump for a long time. I find it very hard to believe that there's not a time and a place to negotiate with somebody. He won't do it.
Well, and that is really the big question, I think, Kevin. I mean, does this become a big negotiation? I spoke to President Trump on the phone last Sunday. He said, yes, he's open to negotiating. He reiterated that again on Air Force One. Now, look, some of his top advisors, Peter Navarro, for example, are saying this is not a negotiation. So the messaging around that is confusing. But President Trump has always cast himself as a deal maker. Right. So that is a potential off-ramp.
Absolutely. And one of these things we've seen as he's done these tariff rollouts over the last 2 months is that he'll do them and then he'll take away the threat. The question is, what does he get out of it? We have seen instances where he has pulled back without seemingly getting much of anything for it. But can he declare a win even if it's small, and say, we fixed it and now we can get rid of these.
Yeah, let's put up, I want to put up the cover of the Time magazine. Oh, no, The Economist. I'm sorry, The Economist. One from October of 2024, The Envy of the World. One from April of 2025, Lance, Ruination Day. What do you make of this argument that the economy is, strong on the one hand, the president saying the economy is strong, look at the jobs numbers, and yet it's a sick patient?
Well, look, I go back to, I think there is, no one's felt, other than the stock market, yes, there have been a bumpy couple days, I give you that, and we will see Monday where this goes. Yeah. But no American out there has, beyond that, we've not seen price increases. In fact, we've seen price drops, and that's what I was getting to in terms of the gas prices and the egg prices. So I think there is an element of wait and see as this market adjusts, and that's what we have to do, and I think that's what they're banking on, because the economy is strong right now.
Simone.
And Democrats can't argue with that, because you guys argued that all last year.
Well, look, just like the last time Donald Trump was president, he is benefiting from the economy of a Democratic president. Obama left him with a very strong economy, and then I would argue he tanked it, and COVID helped him do it. This time, Joe Biden left the president with a very strong economy, and I don't know why he is trying to liberate us from our want for material things. Why is there a 25% tax on South Korea? What about my Korean skincare? Like, this is the TikTok girls, they are realizing that this is real for them. Come, the 10% goes into effect on the 5th, and then the large sale reciprocal on the 10th. This is real for people.
Well, and the question, I think, is, are we going to see Congress do anything? Can Congress do anything? Kevin, let me read you something. One senior Republican aide granted anonymity to describe the dynamics inside the party, told Politico that GOP lawmakers were prepared to give Trump several months at the very least. Everyone is terrified, the aide said, but I don't think anyone wants to cross the president right now. What are you hearing on Capitol Hill?
I think the most important word you just said there was anonymous. That no one wants to publicly be out there. Now, we have seen some little cracks. You saw Ted Cruz suggesting that this could be terrible for America if these tariffs continue for a long time without some sort of adjustment on the world stage. You saw, of course, those Republicans, a few of them, albeit the usual suspects, voting to try to push back on the Canadian tariffs, and also this bill from Grassley to try to rein in congressional control, which, mind you, I believe Trump would also have to sign, so good luck getting that into law. But so you are seeing some cracks in the infrastructure, but in order to really do anything comprehensive to push back, you need more people to come out and more publicly push back. And there is still, as this individual wrote, a great deal of fear of crossing him at this time when he does have the base still so firmly behind him within the Republican Party.
Yeah, and I think cracks is actually a very good word to describe it. Simone, let me ask you about this week that we saw for Democrats. They obviously are watching what's happening on Wall Street. They won the Wisconsin State Supreme Court race despite Elon Musk pouring millions of dollars into the Trump-backed candidate and campaigning there. They narrowed the margin in those two special races in Florida. Do you think Democrats will take this moment and start to find their footing?
Look, I think that this moment should teach Democrats that you can be competitive, that this is not an insurmountable wall, if you will, of a mandate, and that if you campaign, if you organize, if you build infrastructure and ask people for their votes and demonstrate why you would be different than your opponent, you can win.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Great
Just
Friday.
Like Kirsten Walker is winning with 20 years.
20 years.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. 20 years at MDC. Thank you for remembering. Really appreciate that, guys. Kevin, Simone, and Lance, great conversation.